we're going to be talking a little bit about the do's and don'ts of coil spring compression. Now, I'm standing next to a branick spring compressor, and for illustrative purposes, I'm showing you these antiquated pieces of all thread with bolts on top of them that most people would use to compress springs. Well, some of you might have caught last season when I actually shattered my right thumb when one of these failed. So, I've only kept this as kind of like a trophy here in the shop. We're not going to use that. After I shattered my thumb, we went and visited the branick people at the SEMA show, and we were able to pick up one of these for about $1,200 bucks. It's definitely worth it, even if you've done more than one set of springs. Now, if you can't afford it, make sure you find a shop that has one of these, because this is definitely the most economical and safest way to change your spring. Now, in our shop today, we're doing a RevTech front kit on our F-150. Now, we've already removed the entire strut assembly with the spring attached and the strut and the cap and everything's here. So what we're going to do is today we're going to kind of show you for illustrative purposes how this comes apart. All right? So let's talk a little bit about how this unit is set up. Each one of these spring clamps slides back and forth, so it will accommodate a very large variety of large diameter springs. Each one of the upper units is completely adjustable, so that depending on where your coil falls or where how it lines up inside here, you can adjust it. And then each bottom one is also adjustable. Well, not each, but the two front ones. So what you'll do is you'll sit the spring onto the back, you'll adjust these two front ones, and then you'll set these down inside. So why don't you just follow along as you watch me fiddle my way through this. Now, this is only the second time I've had a chance to use this. So I'm going to just show you how easy this is. Now, the most important thing is to get the rear spring settled in here, and you want to have the strut assembly as perpendicular to the screw as you possibly can. But you should also keep in mind that once you set this in here, you're going to need to be able to get a socket inside here so you can do this. So you're going to kind of have this a little crooked just so you can get a socket in here so you can take this apart. Now, we're going to pull a pin on this, and we're going to bring this down in here, and we're going to bring this in. So you can kind of see how it sits. Now, I want it to sit up a little bit, so that's what we're going to set that. Then we're going to grab this spring, and we're going to bring it down a little bit. We can, you can fine tune this pretty much infinitely. Like that word? Alright, now we've got our spring sitting at a pretty good relationship angle to the corkscrew that's up here. We're slightly out so that we can still get a socket inside here. Now, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to compress this to where you've taken the tension off of it, so that while you unscrew this, you don't have to worry about it exploding into a million pieces. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here, and we're going to take some of the tension off of it. I'm going to crank this down just a hair. And you can see that this is now in here really tight. And if you don't want to break your foot, you want to make sure that you've got something underneath here, because once you release this strut is going to fall straight down. Most of the time, we just stick this bucket in here and it falls into the bucket. I'm sure you've got a hell bucket in your shop. So what we're going to do is we're going to crank on this just a hair. That's good, nice and tight. And we're going to get a 15 socket, and we're going to loosen this, and we're going to pop this off. And then you're going to use this spacer under here to provide us with about 2 inches of lip. So, let me get a socket, and we'll get this started. Okay, now according to the instructions, you need to delete this, and then you need to pull this rubber piece out so you can get the aluminum spacer to fit. It's pretty simple. You just tug on this, it comes out, and grab the rubber, which may or may not come out easily, and it does. Now you need to take the spacer. You want to make sure that the spacer sticks up so that when you put this in here, it sits like this. Okay? We're going to pop this all back together again. Now you may, because this is a fairly snug fit, you may have to tap this into place. Okay, when you're all done, this is what you should have. And now what you want to do is put this all back together. Now for the fun. Now you've got to crank this, you've got to compress the spring so that what you have left can come back up through here. So we're just going to kind of crank on this a little bit, and you can see the force that's required just to crank this down using a fairly good size, post and something that's bolted to our Mohawk lift. Can you imagine trying to do this on the floor with a couple of hand clamps? That's why it's so dangerous.